Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Monday edition of our show. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by to kick off your week with us here talking about everything athletics baseball. I want to apologize for not being able to meet this past Friday due to being out of town longer than expected with work conference, plus being out of town for a wedding. Did not provide us the time and capacity to be able to meet in time. But we are fortunate and happy to be back behind the mic here today, back on regularly scheduled programming to get up to speed on the state of the A's. Today is Monday, July 27th. On today's show, we are going to recap the conclusion of the A's road trip as they did end up dropping 2 out of 3 in the Twin Cities against the Minnesota Twins. We'll recap what all went down, hand out our 3-star A's performers, and give our thoughts. From there was an unfortunate injury suffered during Friday night's victory, as Shea Langeliers is believed to have torn his meniscus while running the bases during that game. He has officially landed on the 10-day injured list, retroactive to Saturday, and we'll keep you up to date as we learn more, but there is the potential that he may require surgery, which would effectively end his season, so we'll have a little bit more there. And then following that update, we've got some new A's news in the streets as former Major League right-handed pitcher Chan-Ho Park joins the A's ownership group. We'll discuss what impact he may have on the A's moving forward. And there was a transaction that went down as the A's did acquire right-handed pitcher Scott Blewett from the St. Louis Cardinals in exchange for cash consideration. So we'll discuss what that move may entail. And then before we get ready for the week of A's baseball, we are going to preview their next opponent, a 4-game series that is set to kick off later tonight at home in West Sacramento, as the A's welcome in the Boston Red Sox, one of the league's hottest teams. We'll match up who the Red Sox are, make our predictions, and then get ready to resume watching A's baseball. Let's get to it. Holy Toledo. Let's go A's. All right there, AJ fans. Thank you so much again for tuning in to our Monday edition, or whenever you're listening to this episode of A's Day. We always appreciate your support. All right, let's jump right into what went down over the weekend as the A's had one final stop on their 2-city road trip. Started earlier in the week by losing the series to the Diamondbacks. They lost 2 out of 3. And then now they were up in Minneapolis to take on the Twins for a 3-game set. Let's start on a Friday night in the Twin Cities. Jacob Lopez got the ball for the A's, going up against right-handed pitcher Zebby Matthews for the Twins. This one turned out to be more of a pitcher's duel, which we would have preferred or would have seen on paper, perhaps was not to be expected. We would be through 4 scoreless until the A's got the scoring started in this one, the 5th. After the A's loaded the bases with 1 out, Lawrence Butler delivered the game's first run via a sacrifice fly to move the green and gold ahead 1-0. Jacob Lopez, he was solid in this one, completing 5 shutout innings, allowing only 1 hit. Lopez in this one went 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks. In the 6th, the A's would add on via an RBI single by Tyler Soderstrom to increase their lead to 2-0. Would that be enough to hold on for the victory? You bet. The rest of the way, the A's bullpen kept putting up zeros and limiting the Twins following Lopez's departure to 3 walks, a hit by pitch, and a single in the 9th. For the A's, it went Lopez to Hartley to Suarez to Alvarado to Harris, who picks up his 8th save of the year. Ball game over. A's win 2-0 to grab game 1 of this 3-game set. So, very encouraging from what we've seen from Jacob Lopez since his recall from AAA. It does seem like with the combination of a few mechanical tweaks with arm slot, a little bit of tempo, but also just pitching with more conviction. You can see the concerted effort, even though the walks were still there, that in the majority of the at-bats, he was working with strike one. He was getting ahead of hitters, which led to his success in this one. And it's definitely encouraging to see him look more and more like himself that we saw in 2025 and were dreaming of what he could turn into. Now, that is the trajectory of a lot of professional pitchers You may witness or experience some early success, but then as the league makes adjustments, so do you. Sometimes your body just gets a little bit out of whack and you got to fine-tune your mechanics. Baseball is all about adjustments. So really happy that so far it does seem like it was a successful trip down to AAA for Lopez. Whatever he needed to do to get right, it does seem like he's already exhibiting much better results than when we saw earlier on this year. Good situational hitting in this one from Butler and Sodi. That's all they needed, even though the offense didn't really get going in this one. And shout out because of the performance that Matthews had and the bullpen that followed, really keeping this A's offense at bay. One that has a lot of interchangeable parts at the moment due to injuries. Some guys coming back from injuries like Nick Kurtz, still trying to find his rhythm at the plate. What we'll talk about later is now Shea Langeliers is on the shelf for at least a significant amount of time, if not the rest of the year. We'll have more updates on that in a little bit. Tyler Soderstrom was a little bit out of the lineup. Jacob Wilson's been in and out of the lineup multiple times. So it's been tough for this offense. You know, obviously these are all professionals and you want them to try to find a way to get the job done on a consistent basis. But when you're having a lot of those changing parts, it's really hard for that lineup to get that flow and continuity that we saw a lot of last year, because I don't feel on the offensive side of things the A's nearly suffered this many blows to their positional player group. Now, we saw what they had to go through last year with pitchers. They're going through it again. This year, it seems like the injury bug is coming at all angles. So I definitely can understand that, and you can see that there's really not a collective rhythm in this lineup yet. And hopefully, you know, we could see over the duration of the second half perhaps a little bit more consistency and momentum with that once the injuries settle down and once we get some guys getting that same group of 9 or 10 guys in there, getting reps and really feeding off each other's energy. So something to keep an eye on there, for without a doubt, something to keep a note of, because you're probably expecting, man, this was a top 10 offense last year and they're off to a pretty good start last year, but just keep in mind the injuries that continue to pile up at unfortunate times. This game really turned into a pitcher's duel. Really unexpected, if we're going to be completely honest, with the up and down performances of Lopez, and the same goes for Matthews. Could have expected a little bit more offense in this one, but that was not the case. A's took care of the baseball in this one and really backed a solid job from the bullpen that followed after Jacob Lopez as well, combining to complete the shutout. Excellent performance on the pitching side of things, taking care of the baseball. Wishing Shea Langeliers a healthy recovery. Again, we'll talk about him in a little bit. But good job by the A's by grabbing Game 1 in this series. Again, that sets you up with a wonderful opportunity to win that series, especially a 3-game set, because that means the opponent's going to have to go in there and win the next 2 consecutively to come out of the deficit that was created, especially on the road. It's a great way for you to start, you know, hopefully put yourself in a position to end the road trip on a positive note and get the ball rolling a little bit, as it's really getting late, really perhaps maybe too late. But on we go to Saturday's Game 2. Brady Basso getting the ball for the A's, going up against Kendry Rojas. Basso, he gets the start for the A's as an opener, with Mason Barnett piggybacking as the bulk reliever right after. This game continued the trend and theme of more pitching and defense. Basso pitched 2 1/3 scoreless before Barnett came on in the third. Basso, he started this one off 2 1/3 innings, 2 hits allowed, no runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks. For the Twins, Kendry Rojas was nearly unhittable through his 4 innings of work. Rojas, 4 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. We would be scoreless in this one until the 6th inning. With 2 on and 2 out, the Twins would break the scoreless tie thanks to Alex Rodin delivering a 2-run single to give the Twins a 2-0 lead. The A's would manage just a double from McNeil and a walk from Butler from the 7th inning on. They couldn't get a rally going. Ball game over. Twins win Game 2 2-0 and tie the series up 1-1. So once again, the A's pitching, they showed up in this one. Good job setting the tone early with Basso and Barnett. I think solid 3 1/3 innings out of him, 2/3, whatever it was. And, you know, he gets bitten with 2 outs in that 6th inning. But, hey, you should be able to overcome a 2-0 deficit, especially in the 6th. You still have 3 chances, and clearly you weren't able to generate anything earlier. And that was the story in this one. The A's offense was absolutely dormant. They only managed 3 hits in this one. They went 3 for 30, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts, and 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So despite the fact that you had limited traffic on the base paths for the majority of this game, there still were opportunities where you had men in scoring position, and perhaps coming through only 1 or 2 out of those 8 chances, it might have flipped this game on its head. I mean, again, a 2-0 game, well within reach. You just want to see a little bit more of that conviction at the plate. It just seems like the timing isn't there as a collective, and perhaps in these runners in scoring position situations, hitters are tensing up and trying to do a little bit too much. Whatever the case may be, this offense, it just hasn't looked right, and it hasn't looked right for quite some time. Definitely unfortunate. This was a game that definitely had the opportunity to win it. With it being a 2-run deficit, you lose an opportunity to win a series. Things get evened up here now. It relies on a do-or-die rubber match on Sunday for Game 3. And again, appreciate the effort protecting the baseball. Just want to see a little bit more from this offense. And again, I know we just mentioned a little bit earlier, the injuries are piling up. We understand that. But again, there's still enough talent in this lineup to score more than 2 runs. And the fact that you get blanked allowed the Twins pitching staff to dictate the majority of these at-bats. It was a tough watch without a doubt, but nevertheless, thanks to their efforts by securing Friday night's Game 1 victory, they still have an opportunity to flip the script, because we understand every day is a new day and a new challenge and a new opportunity to win a ball game. Now they have to play a little Sunday day edition baseball in Minneapolis to possibly win this series. Sunday in Minneapolis, Jeffrey Springs will be getting the ball for the A's, going up against Connor Prelip for the Twins. The pitcher's duel type games have ruled this series so far. Would that continue on Sunday? Well, the Twins, they made sure to put an end to that as their offense was humming early and often in this one. In the first, Royce Lewis would ground out into a fielder's choice, but a run would score from third to give the Twins the early 1-0 lead. Next batter up, Cody Clemens smashes a 2-run triple to cap the 3-run first and grab the 3-0 lead. In the second, the Twins offense would continue to work. After the Twins put 2 on with 1 out, the A's would turn to Luis Morales. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep the Twins at bay. Alex Jackson would come home to score following the bases-loaded balk by Morales to increase the Twins' lead to 4-0. Later in the at-bat, Ryan Jeffers would lace a 2-run single to cap back-to-back 3-run innings, and now Minnesota leads 6-0 after 2. Springs' line concluded as follows: 1 in the third innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 5 runs, 4 of them earned, 1 walk, no strikeouts. In the fourth, the Twins would add another as Ryan Kreidler came home to score following the throwing error from Jonah Heim. It's now 7-0. The A's offense, they had no answer for Prelip as he was pulled following striking out Henry Bolte with 2 outs in the sixth. Prelip in this one, he went 5 2/3, 2 hits allowed, 1 run, 1 walk, 5 Ks. On would come reliever Cole Sands. After Jacob Wilson gets hit by a pitch, Nick Kurtz snaps an 0-for-25 slide as he smashed a 3-run home run to center, his 21st of the year, as it's now a 7-3 Twins lead. In the bottom of the inning, the Twins would get one of those back via a sacrifice fly from Austin Martin, as it's now an 8-3 game. In the seventh, the comeback rally was attempted. Donovan Walton worked a bases-loaded walk, bringing home a run. Jeff McNeil added an RBI groundout, and Carlos Cortez would provide a sacrifice fly as the situational hitting inning paid off for a 3 spot. All of a sudden, it's an 8-6 Twins lead. In the bottom half, the Twins had another answer via a sac fly from Luke Keyshaw, as it's now a 9-6 game. In the eighth, the Twins would get some much-needed insurance runs. Ryan Kreidler ripped an RBI triple to increase the Minnesota lead to 10-6. Later in the inning, with 2 outs, Ryan Jeffers reached on an infield single, bringing home another run and growing the lead to 11-6. To the A's credit, they wouldn't go quietly as they got an RBI single from Jeff McNeil and an RBI groundout from Carlos Cortez to shrink the deficit to 11-8, but that's as close as they would get, as Jacob Wilson would ground out to end the game and bring a close to this series. Ball game over. Twins take the rubber match 11-8 and secure the series victory by winning 2 out of 3 over the A's. So it's clear and evident something has gone off the tracks with Jeffrey Springs. Another tough outing. Didn't have any of his swing and miss stuff going. Not that he's ever a high-octane strikeout guy, but it's a little bit concerning that even in that short period, all the batters that he faced, no strikeouts. And it's just continuing to fall behind in counts, missing in hitter-friendly zones. And the once reliable Springs is really in a spot that he really needs to find a way to get back on track, and whether that's working on more command or whatever the case may be, it has not looked good, and it hasn't looked good for now almost going on 3 months, I would say. He's had a couple of decent starts mixed in here and there, but I'm just saying consistency-wise, basically the last 3 months have been rather tough for old Jeffrey Springs. And, last year, to me, he was the most reliable arm in the rotation. I thought he was the most consistent, gave the team an opportunity to win every fifth day. That hasn't been as much the case over these last few months. And sometimes, as we were talking earlier in the episode about Jacob Lopez, that sometimes you got to take a step back before you can move forward. Now, I know Springs has a little bit more of that veteran status, so is he going to accept, or is that even in the plans for Springs to take a trip down to AAA Vegas to get right? Or is his role going to change where he's going to be used more as a bulk reliever, which we've seen before when he had his first inning struggles, and he would piggyback and be the bulk guy from there. Is that the case? Because we did see him create a little bit of momentum last year when he started doing that. And then once he solved his first inning problems, then you could see him settle more down into the pitcher that we believe the A's were signing. And so do you go that pathway again? History does have a tendency to repeat itself. So certainly would love to see them try something a little bit different. I know in their upcoming series against the Red Sox, that fourth game of the series is currently TBD because that is slotted as Jeffrey Springs' start day. But I wonder if planning's already underway that perhaps a guy like Basso might get the start in an opener role, or if they want to give Barnett another shot at a start and then Springs piggybacks from there. But I would have to imagine that Jeffrey Springs is probably not going to make that start. And I don't think it's a good matchup against Boston anyway. And at Sutter Health Park, where he is leading the league in home runs allowed, that perhaps maybe a little altering of his role can have him build up that confidence once again, generating more consistent outs and keeping opponents off the board. Because right now, him being there, and he's someone that I'm rooting for, someone that's battled a lot of injury adversity, and someone that is a joy to watch when he is tuned in. It's not there. It's not clicking right now. And baseball, it's a game of adjustments, and right now, Springs needs to find what that adjustment is. So rooting for him to get back on track, but right now it just hasn't been right. Morales, he had a little bit rough go of it in that first entrance into the game. He balks in a run, allowed some of those inherited runners to cross the plate, but then he settled in as the game rolled along. So hopefully that builds a little bit more confidence for him, and perhaps Morales will be someone that factors in to making that start against the Red Sox. I guess we'll have an update on that. At the time of recording, we don't know who that's going to be because this is our Monday show. I don't think they'll announce it till Wednesday. Maybe tomorrow at earliest if they have an idea of what they're going to do, but that's typically not something that's made publicly aware too far in advance. Perhaps to get a little bit of a opponent advantage there too, so it gives less time for the Red Sox to be able to scout who they'll be facing on that day too. So maybe a little bit of gamesmanship there, but we will see. Good to see Kurtz break out of the slump briefly on this one with that 3-run blast to center. It was an absolute shot. Sometimes you got to see one go through the hoops again before you can get it rolling. I know he just recently got back from the injured list, so I know he is someone that once he get his timing down, you're going to see him get on one of those hot streaks, probably in August, I'm going to say. So not worried about that. It was good to see him get it, and it was really the start and a spark that allowed the A's an opportunity to find their way back into this ballgame despite being down 7-0 at one point. Definitely appreciate the fight until the end in this one, but the problem in this one, as good as the pitching was over the first 2 games of the series, they couldn't put up that 0 after the A's offense had a really good inning. After those 2 innings where they scored multiple runs, I think they scored 3 runs and then 2 or 3 runs again, then the Twins were able to respond with at least a run, getting one of those back in back-to-back innings. I think if you put up a 0, even in one of those, perhaps the A's have even more of a fighting chance there at the end. But definitely a tough way to end the road trip, tough way to end the series. That extends, I believe, their series losing streak to 9 in a row now. They're just marred in a really tough spot. And the story of the 2026 A's at the time of recording right now is what could have been. Because this team has been bruised and battered all over this roster on the pitching staff. Luis Severino's been out for an extended period of time. Obviously it's been hit, I think, harder on the position play. Brent Rooker being out for the year. Jacob Wilson has had 2 injured list trips. Tyler Soderstrom has been on the injured list. Nick Kurtz was on the injured list. Shea Langeliers now might be out for the rest of the season. I mean, these are core guys that were main contributors as to why this was a top 10 offense last year. So with these guys missing a significant amount of time, and now Wilson and Soderstrom are back, and Kurtz has been mainly around, just had that brief 10-day IL stint, but not having these guys consistently and missing chunks of time, and it's happened during this now month and a half stretch of tough baseball. And I think at this point, it does feel like, I understand everyone say, the American League's wide open, but I think that it's just too much of a storm to weather. The schedule doesn't really ease up at any point. I mean, you got one of the hottest teams in baseball coming to town starting tonight. I'm not saying that this team is going to fight, and I'm not saying they don't have the talent and the will to scratch and claw and try to pull their way back into this. But now with dropping another series, they dropped to 44-61. They're 9 games out of first place. The clock is ticking, and over in the wild card spot, it's not looking too better over there. There's a lot of teams jumbling for that third and final spot. I just think the hole might be too deep to climb out of once again. Now, they could go off and roll off a historic August. I think that's what it would have to take. But with how they're currently situated, I think it's going to be too steep of a mountain to climb. And it's really unfortunate because we knew the expectations were heightened from last year. And even at one point, this team at 38-38, I still think was underperforming, especially with the health of the AL West. I think there were some wins when this team was more whole. But now it's really tough to make a fair assessment on any part of the staff and any part of this team, just because I don't think any team, even the Dodgers, I feel like, maybe they rip off a few more, but I don't know, outside of the Dodgers perhaps, any team that would be able to weather the double-digit players that have been on the injured list at this point, and it continues to climb. And it's not, everyone serves their purpose and role in this team, totally understand that, but these injury blows have been to main starting contributors on this roster. That's tough. When your identity as a collective and its core is being beat at, and you keep losing guy after guy, it's tough to get that continuity and really get this thing back on track. Now, let's see. I mean, crazier things have happened. I mean, it may perhaps takes a really hot week of baseball to get things rolling again, and maybe you sneak your way back into the American League West. But I will say it would be a tall task as of now. But road trip is over. They're back from finishing up a 2-4 trip. Now they're back home in West Sacramento to take on the Red Sox. But we got some things to get to first. Let's hand out our 3 A stars from this series. So our third star is going to second baseman Jeff McNeil. He went 4 for 10 in the series with 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, and a walk. Our second star, we're going to give it to Game 1 winner, Jacob Lopez. He went 5 innings, allowed 1 hit, no runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks. And our first star, we were flipping here between Soderstrom and McNeil, but we're giving it to Tyler Soderstrom. 4 for 11 in the series, a double, an RBI, and a walk. He had a hit in each game of the series and an important insurance RBI in Friday night's victory, which gave us the edge to give him this series A's first star performer. That's a wrap on that series. Again, the A's dropped 2 out of 3 to conclude their road trip in Minnesota. Now they move on, starting a 4-game series tonight back home in West Sacramento. Before we get to that, we do have that injury update, unfortunately. The A's have placed all-star catcher Shea Langeliers on the 10-day injured list with a torn meniscus in his right knee, retroactive to Saturday. The A's recalled catcher Brian Serven from AAA Las Vegas in a corresponding move. According to reports, Langeliers suffered the injury while running the bases and is deciding whether to undergo a surgical procedure that would end his season. The A's haven't confirmed whether Langeliers will require surgery. We'll be sure to update you on social media. Langeliers is scheduled to consult with a doctor in Los Angeles later today, after which he and the team will meet to determine the best course of action. The 28-year-old's name has been circulating in trade rumors of late, but the injury likely eliminates any chance of him being dealt before the August 3rd trade deadline. One of the best catchers in baseball, Langeliers started behind the plate for the American League All-Star team earlier this month, becoming the first A's catcher to do so since Terry Steinbach in 1989. Langeliers, who is controllable through 2028, has posted a .263 batting average, a .332 on base, and .497 slugging percentage slash line with 23 home runs over 93 games this season. The Mariners' Cal Raleigh is the only catcher with more homers than Langeliers' 83 over the past 3 seasons. The injury is the latest blow, which we've been talking about, in what has been an extremely difficult stretch for the A's. As recently as June 19th, the A's were 38-38 and just a half game behind the Mariners for first place in the AL West, but they've gone 6-22 over their past 28 games. They went 6-23 over their past 29 games following yesterday's action. So, very unfortunate. Just adds to the list that continues to pile up for this team. It's really unfortunate because the AL West does seem very attainable this year. And I am still confident that if this A's team was whole and had the majority of their pieces, that they would be in the thick of things. It's a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda. Can't say because the games are played physically on the field and not on paper. So where the A's are right now, they have a lot of work to do if they want to have any hopes of getting back into this thing. Like I said, I just think there may be too many teams at least to surpass for the wild card, but even the American League West, just got to imagine the Mariners, Rangers, or Astros, one of those teams is really going to hit the NOS and take control of this division in the dog days of August. And perhaps if they don't, and the A's have a couple of 2 hot weeks and swing their way back into it, they will be having a different conversation later this month. But as it looks now, it does seem like dire times. It does seem like what could go wrong is going wrong, and a lot of the focus has been the lack of the health and availability on this roster. It's been testing the depth, and guys are getting their opportunities, but it's really tough to see a lot of continuity from this lineup. So really, it's going to be an uphill battle. Shea Langeliers, hope you get better soon, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. We hope that perhaps you can avoid surgery. I always root for guys to be able to avoid that. If you don't have to go under the knife, that's always a benefit. But if that is the best course of action, get well soon. And hopefully the A's will be in a much better position to rock and roll in 2027 when he's back to 100%. But Shea Langeliers has been having a heck of a season, an all-star catcher, started behind the plate, really continuing to display being one of the pillars of this team moving forward. I know there were some trade rumors circulating based on him perhaps not re-signing long-term due to his agent being Scott Boras, and perhaps when his time is up after the 2028 season to give them the opportunity to enter free agency, that a lot of the bigger market teams are going to come calling. So that is perhaps diving into a little bit of the trade rumor there. But with this injury, don't see that happening. And certainly glad for A's Nation because you have one of your cornerstone pieces that could be here for now and for the long term. With him, it's not even being in his age 30 season yet, and it seems like he's getting better every season, playing at an all-star caliber level consistently. Definitely, this is going to be a tough blow for them to continue to navigate forward for the second half of the season. But yeah, get well soon, Shea, and hopefully we have a more positive update either later today or tomorrow whenever the A's release a public statement. But until now, we're just going to have to wait and see how his appointment in LA goes. All right, let's go to some front office talk. As former pitcher Chan-Ho Park became the first Korean to purchase a stake in a major league club, the second significant addition in the past week to the A's ownership structure as they prepare to move to Las Vegas in 2028. Park, the first Korean major league player who pitched 17 seasons from 1994 to 2010, going 124-98, also will take on the title of senior advisor to owner John Fisher. The investment group Team 61 announced Sunday night its investment will total $70 million, of which $55 million is committed, with another $15 million if Major League Baseball approves the deal. Actors Ken Jeong and Daniel Dae Kim also are part of the investment group. Park said in a statement, "During my playing career, I introduced Korea to Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball to Korean fans, and I saw firsthand how even a small point of connection could create meaningful change. Korea is now a baseball powerhouse with outstanding fans and a strong player development system. Through exchanges with Las Vegas, which is opening a new era in Major League Baseball, I hope more opportunities will be created for the next generation of players. We are grateful for this opportunity to collaborate with the Athletics to lift up Korean baseball to the next level." John Fisher, in a statement, touted the international benefits to the club. South Korea is an exciting country for baseball, and we are thrilled to partner with Chan-Ho Park and Team 61 to support their continued future success. Just as he pioneered and broke ground for Korean and Asian baseball players in America, we believe that this partnership with Chan-Ho to pioneer Korean ownership in baseball will have long and lasting positive impacts. Harbinger Sports Group, which includes former Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, announced Thursday that it bought a minority stake in the A's, though details were not released. But Harbinger said it has raised more than $460 million in less than 6 months. The A's are building a $2 billion, 33,000-person dome stadium on the Las Vegas Strip. They are currently playing the second of 3 planned seasons in West Sacramento at Sutter Health Park. So welcome to the ownership group, Chan-Ho Park. Anytime that you can grow the game, that's part of our mission here. We want more people to enjoy the A's and enjoy the game of baseball as a whole. That I do feel like this is good because absolutely Korean baseball has continued to, since the pioneering from Chan-Ho Park as a pitcher, we continue to see Korean guys make a positive impact in Major League Baseball. And the brand of baseball over there, it's highly competitive, and it's something that I do feel would benefit and needs to be displayed more on a global level. Just like we do see a lot of the updates from Nippon League, Japanese professional baseball, we love to see increased viewership for the Korean leagues as well. So definitely will be good to have a long-time Major League pitcher as part of the ownership group, someone that obviously with his investment group is very tied in with the business side of things, but perhaps can offer a lot of baseball perspective things as well. I always like when you can add former Major League Baseball players to front office ownership groups so you can get the best of both mindsets in that position. So best of luck to Chan-Ho Park. Looking forward to seeing the influence that you bestow upon the athletics organization. All right, let's stay in the front office, but now it's a transaction affecting the roster or at least the organization. The A's acquired right-handed pitcher Scott Blewett from the Cardinals, with St. Louis getting cash considerations in return. The Cards designated Blewett for assignment earlier in the week. The A's will be the 7th different organization the well-traveled Blewett has pitched for in his career, plus he has 2 separate stints apiece with the Braves and Orioles. Most of Blewett's 74 2/3 career MLB innings came in 2025, when he had a 5.48 ERA, 49.6% ground ball rate, a 9.3% walk rate, and 18% strikeout rate across 44 1/3 innings of work with the Twins, Orioles, and Braves. This season saw him get a bit of stability in the Cardinals organization, as he signed a minor league deal in the offseason and then posted a 5.18 ERA over 48 2/3 innings for AAA Memphis. Blewett exercised an out clause in his contract a couple of weeks ago, and St. Louis selected his contract, but after throwing 2 scoreless relief innings in the Cardinals' 5-1 loss to the Angels on Tuesday, Blewett was sent to designated for assignment limbo. While still not a really hard thrower, Blewett's fastball velocity did jump up from a 93.2 mile-an-hour career average into the 95 mile-an-hour range over his work in the majors and minors this year. An 84 mile-an-hour slider remains Blewett's primary pitch, however. Blewett's 4.10 ERA over 74 2/3 frames in the majors, notably better than his 6.66 career ERA in 274 1/3 innings of AAA baseball. Blewett is out of minor league options, which is why he has been such an organizational nomad over the last couple of years. There's a chance he can stick with the A's just because the Sacramento squad needs all the help they can get in the bullpen, so a few solid performances could get Blewett some extra looks. I think he will factor into the bullpen, especially with the combination of injury and depth and lack of effectiveness in the bullpen consistently, that someone like Blewett will certainly get his chance. It's just a matter if he delivers. So we'll be sure to track to see how the newest A performs, perhaps at some point this week. Let's get to the A's next opponent before we get on out of here in the back half of our show. But before we do, this episode is brought to you by the Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena. Stay in the heart of downtown at Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena, ideally located near Old Sacramento Waterfront, Golden One Center, and Downtown Commons Doco. Our full-service Sacramento hotel is just 15 minutes from Sacramento International Airport and within walking distance of the California State Capitol and Safe Credit Union Convention Center. Host meetings, conferences, and social events in our flexible boardrooms and ballrooms supported by experienced on-site sales and events teams. Enjoy modern amenities including a rooftop outdoor pool, on-site fitness center, and Cypress Grill restaurant serving breakfast, dinner, and cocktails. Guest rooms and suites feature comfortable workspaces, contemporary amenities, and city views, making them ideal for both short stays and extended visits. Whether you're attending an event, planning a meeting, or exploring Sacramento dining, entertainment, and cultural attractions, or perhaps in town to check out an A's game, our downtown location keeps you close to it all. Downtown access, full-service comfort, easy booking. Stay at our downtown Sacramento hotel. All right. Let's get to the back half of our show as the A's are back home in West Sacramento. The A's welcome in the Boston Red Sox for the first of 4 games starting later tonight. The Red Sox come in with a record of 54-50 and are currently led by interim manager Chad Tracy. The Red Sox come in off a series victory, taking 2 out of 3 from the Toronto Blue Jays. They won Game 1 6-4. Lost on Saturday 6-0 before winning yesterday to complete the series victory by winning 6-1. The Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball after executing an incredible midseason turnaround. They posted a historic 15-game winning streak from July 3rd to the 22nd, tying their 1946 franchise record. This surge has flipped their season script under interim manager Chad Tracy. They have catapulted back into the postseason race with a 54-50 record, sitting third in the hyper-competitive AL East and currently reside in the third and final American League wildcard spot. In terms of their run production, it is currently driven by veteran power and depth contributions, and their run prevention is drastically improved via elite defensive range and deft pitching. They should consider now being buyers at the deadline, swapping prospects for immediate MLB assets as the Red Sox should be attempting to catch lightning in a bottle after how dire things started. They have really flipped the script entirely. As an offense, the Red Sox lineup is clicking due to a balanced blend of veteran anchors and surprising depth pieces. The anchor, first baseman Wilson Contreras, is having a career year, leading the club in home runs at 22, RBIs with 66, and OPS at 948. The catalyst has been left fielder Jarren Duran, remains central to the team's identity, though he has openly battled an offensive slump through the latter half of July. Their elite defense, led by center fielder Sadane Rafaela, continues to showcase elite tracking range, anchoring a drastically improved outfield defense, along with the rocket of an arm in right and Wilyer Abreu. Some deadline reinforcement could be on the way, with Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow acquiring infielder Curtis Mead from the Nationals in a straight 1-to-1 trade for pitcher Connolly Early. Mead, bringing 17 home runs in a revamped discipline approach, is expected to step directly into the infield rotation, mainly at third base. Despite major long-term injuries to key rotation pieces as we look at the pitching side of things, like Garrett Crochet, Boston's run prevention staff has held remarkably stable. The ace has been leading the charge in veteran Sonny Gray, spearheading the pitching staff with a brilliant 12-2 record with a 2.78 ERA and 96 strikeouts. Key activation has been all-star lefty Ranger Suarez, just returned from the injured list, tossing 4 innings scoreless with 6 strikeouts on July 22nd against Toronto. They've also been relying on their next man up depth. Rookies and replaced starters have preserved this season. The lefty Jake Bennett, 6-3 with a 2.58 ERA, and Peyton Tolley, tonight's starter for the Red Sox, a 3.31 ERA with 96 strikeouts, have provided elite swing and miss stuff. Offensively, here have the Red Sox rank across Major League Baseball thus far. They've hit to a .244 team batting average, which is 15th. They've hit 98 home runs, which is tied for last in all of baseball with the Milwaukee Brewers. They've scored 438 runs, which is 24th. They've walked 309 times, which is tied for 27th. They've struck out 854 times, which is the 8th least. And they've hit to a team OPS of 706, which is 21st. On the mound, this has by far been the team's identity, along with their improved defense, which has had them get their way back into the fight. On the mound, they've pitched to a 3.56 ERA, which is third in baseball. They've walked 296 batters, which is the third least. They've struck out 883 batters, which is 17th, and they've pitched to a 1.23 whip, which is 7th. And defensively, they fielded at a .988 fielding percentage, which is 9th in baseball, and the 46 errors they've committed is tied for the 7th least. Here is the Red Sox projected batting order and position. So they'll be led off by the designated hitter, Masataka Yoshida. Batting second, the center fielder, Sadane Rafaela. Batting third, the right fielder, Wilyer Abreu. Batting fourth, the first baseman, Wilson Contreras. Batting fifth, the second baseman, Curtis Mead. Batting sixth, the third baseman, Caleb Durbin. Batting seventh, the left fielder, Jaron Duran. Batting eighth, the shortstop, either Andrew Monasterio or Sung Chase Cheng. And batting ninth, the catcher, Connor Wong or Carlos Narvaez. Now, here are those game times for this 4-game series as well as the starting pitching probables. Tonight, game 1, and all the games, by the way, are 6:40 p.m. Pacific time first pitch this week. Peyton Tolley will be getting the ball for the Red Sox going up against Jack Perkins. Tomorrow night, game 2, also a 6:40 p.m. Pacific time first pitch. Jake Bennett getting the ball for the Red Sox going up against Gage Jump. Wednesday's game 3 of this 4-game set, 6:40 p.m. first pitch. Patrick Sandoval getting the ball for the Sox going up against Jacob Lopez. And then Thursday's 4th and final game of this series, a 6:40 p.m. Pacific time first pitch. Sonny Gray, the former A, getting the ball for the Red Sox. And the A's at the time of recording have not announced the probable starter for that game. I'm sure we'll hear something over the next couple of days, as we hinted at earlier in the show. All right, let's get to know these Red Sox starting pitchers a little bit more. Game 1 starter tonight, left-handed pitcher Peyton Tolley. On the air, he has made 16 starts, pitching to a 5-6 record with a 3.31 ERA, and 89 2/3 innings pitched. He's issued 26 walks, 96 strikeouts, and a 1.10 whip. In his last start, got the win against the Orioles. He went 5 2/3 innings, allowed 8 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. Peyton Tolley is currently operating as a highly successful starting pitcher for the Sox, pitching to a stellar 3.31 ERA along with those 96 strikeouts through 16 Major League starts. After dominating the AAA Worcester early in the year, he made his season debut on April 23rd and has firmly established himself as a frontline option in the Boston rotation. He's an imposing 6'6", a 250-pound left-handed pitcher frame with a physically maxed-out durable build. With his mechanics, he throws from a compact, high-effort, low three-quarters arm slot. He works in generating elite extension of over 7.4 feet, sometimes reaching 8 feet, releasing the ball incredibly close to the plate. Coupled with a low 5.5-foot release height, his delivery creates highly unusual, uncomfortable geometric angles for hitters, leading to that increased deception. Here is the pitch arsenal that Tolley works with. He works with a fastball, averages 94 to 97 miles an hour, tops out at 101. It's his clear signature weapon, high spin four-seamer with elite vertical ride and a flat approach angle that effortlessly misses Major League bats. His cutter averages 89 to 92 miles an hour, has short horizontal movement used primarily to get ahead in the count and generate weak contact off the barrel. His slider, which is right around the mid-80s, gyro-shaped, tighter break, effective pairing with the fastball, but can still look visually similar to his cutter at times. And he also works with a changeup, which averages around in the upper 80s. A clear developmental piece, tends to flatten, and has given up hard contact when thrown to righties, forcing him to keep it largely shelved. He boasts a strong 7.1% walk rate. He consistently floods the strike zone, though his command of secondary pitches up in the zone can occasionally wander. He's definitely been someone that continues to work to improve his command, and we've seen it at a pretty elite level at times throughout this season. So that's a little bit about tonight's Game 1 starter in Peyton Tolley. Now let's get to know tomorrow night's starter, which is also another lefty. This time it's Jake Bennett. On the year, the rookie has made 10 starts, pitching to a 6-3 record with a 2.58 ERA and 59 1/3 innings pitched. He's only walked 9 batters, and he has struck out 42. In his last start, got the win against the Orioles. He went 5 2/3 innings, allowed 9 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Jake Bennett is a 6'6" left-handed pitcher for the Sox who relies on an elite extension, premium command, and pitch sequencing rather than overpowering with raw velocity. He was acquired during the 2025-26 offseason from the Washington Nationals for Luis Perales. Bennett has emerged as a major revelation in Boston's rotation after making his MLB debut back on May 1st of this season. He currently carries that stellar 2.58 ERA and .94 whip over 10 big league starts during this season. With his mechanics, he throws from a deceptive low three-quarters arm slot. He generates 7.1 plus feet of extension down the mound, placing him in the 93rd percentile of Major League pitchers. This massive stride shortens the distance to the plate, making his pitches feel much faster than their registered velocities. Speaking of pitches and velocities, what does he work with? He works with a fastball sinker, which averages 92 to 95 miles an hour, maxing out at 96. Bennett mixes a four-seam fastball, more tail than ride, and a heavy sinker. Though he flashed 98 miles an hour early in spring training, his velocity has settled back to his usual mid-90s norms. The sinker is utilized primarily to pound the zone and force a 58% plus ground ball rate. His changeup averages 83 to 86 miles an hour. This is his definitive plus weapon. It displays hard, late arm side fade and serves as his primary punch-out pitch, completely flummoxing right-handed batters. His cutter and sweeper average in the 86 to 88 mile an hour range. Adopted into the organization's pitching philosophy, his short, horizontal cutter is used to generate weak contact. He has also continued to develop a sweeper curveball mix to keep left-handed hitters from sitting on his fastball. Some of his performance profile and trends focus on him pounding the zone. Bennett boasts an incredible elite control, yielding a microscopic 1.29 walks per nine earlier in AAA and continuing to suppress free passes in the majors, only issuing 9 in 59 and a third innings of work. He works with sequencing over power. He is not a high-whiff power pitcher. He wins by tunneling his pitches out of the identical high extension release point and using elite sequencing. Having successfully bounced back from a 2023 Tommy John surgery, he has proved to be a highly efficient workhorse. His margin for error is thin due to a high hard hit rate when his fastballs leaks over the plate, making flawless command vital. So that's a little bit about Game 2 starter Jake Bennett. As for Game 3 starter, yep, you guessed it, another lefty, Patrick Sandoval. He has not put together much of a track record for 2026 as he continued his way back from, I believe, Tommy John surgery. So he's only 3 starts in, but has looked rather sharp in the majority of those. On the year, he's made 3 starts. He hasn't registered a decision, pitching to a 3.21 ERA. In 14 innings of work, he's issued 4 walks, 13 strikeouts, and a 1.64 whip. In his last start, his team won. The Red Sox won against the Blue Jays, but he didn't factor into the decision. He went 4 2/3 innings, allowed 5 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. Left-handed pitcher Patrick Sandoval has successfully completed his anticipated return to Major League Baseball after missing over 2 years following Tommy John surgery back in June of 2024 and a brief minor league setback with left biceps discomfort. He was activated from the 60-day injured list on July 6th. Since then, Sandoval has completed 3 big league starts for Boston. Track data from his recent July outings reveals that Sandoval's raw stuff has returned intact and in some areas improved following his long surgical rehabilitation. His four-seam fastball averages 93 to 94. His fastball velocity actually slightly has ticked up even more to a surprising 94.3 miles an hour, up from his pre-surgery career best of 93.7. He has touched as high as 97 miles an hour. The pitch displays standard high-effort extension, but relies heavily on spot command. His changeup averages about 84 miles an hour. Historically his signature weapon, his changeup remains a genuine plus pitch with high arm speed deception. It is highly relied upon to induce weak contact and escape high-traffic situations. His slider averages around 86 miles an hour. It's thrown harder than the Major League left-handed average. It features short glove side cut. While it hasn't generated elite swing and miss numbers earlier this month, it effectively keeps hitters from sitting on his fastball. He also works with a sinker and a curveball. Those are mixed in primarily to manipulate standard horizontal movement profiles and alter batter eye levels. Some other scouting summary and current outlook strengths. His upgraded fastball velocity, as we mentioned, the unexpected velocity bump gives him a higher floor than previously anticipated. Scouts have noted his ability to pitch out of tight jams against competitive offenses. In his most recent start on July 24th against Toronto, he battled out of multiple multi-inning jams to log 4.2 scoreless innings. He's also displayed improved control. He has shown a solid 6.3% walk rate through his first 14 innings, a noticeable improvement from his historical double-digit walk rates. Some of his weaknesses and risk focus on efficiency and pitch count limits. The Red Sox are keeping him on a tight leash. He maxed out at 84 pitches in his last start and has yet to complete 5 full innings in a start this month. While his ERA is a sparkling 3.21, his 1.64 whip and 317 opponent batting average show he is allowing a high volume of hits, 19 hits in 14 innings. He is currently leaning on a low BABIP and strand rate to prevent runs. And finally, Game 4 starter, who has been the Red Sox ace, right-handed pitcher, and former Athletic, Sonny Gray. On the year thus far, he's made 19 starts, pitching to a 12-2 record with a 2.78 ERA. In 106 and 2/3 innings pitched, he's walked 28 batters, struck out 93, and has pitched to a 1.16 whip. In his last start, got the loss this past Saturday against the Blue Jays. He went 5 innings, allowed 10 hits, 5 runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Sonny Gray is currently anchoring the Boston Red Sox starting rotation as a highly efficient veteran right-hander pitching to a stellar 2.78 ERA over 106 and 2/3 innings. Despite an isolated 5-run clunker against the Toronto Blue Jays in his last time out, Gray's overall body of work in July solidifies him as a premier top-of-the-rotation starter who relies on an expansive pitch mix, elite control, and savvy execution. Gray's a master tactician who leverages a massive 7-pitch arsenal to keep both left-handed and right-handed batters entirely off balance. He has completely evolved away from relying on raw velocity, instead winning with movement and sequencing. He works with a 4-seam fastball and sinker, sits consistently around 92. He relies on high fastballs to change eye levels and setups, paired with a heavy sinker to generate ground balls. His breaking and off-speed stuff features a devastating power curveball with heavy downer action alongside a sweeping slider and a sharp cutter. He rounds out his deep mix with a traditional slider and an occasional changeup. His sequencing profile, aside from his traditional slider, Gray maintains a remarkably balanced usage rate, throwing 6 of his 7 pitches at least 15% of the time, depending on matchup. Some of his strengths focus on his elite control and command. Gray is showcasing brilliant command this season, carrying an elite 6.3% walk rate and an exceptional strikeout-to-walk ratio, 93 strikeouts against 28 walks. Also good at inducing soft contact and ground balls. He continues to keep the ball on the ground at a high rate, 47.8% ground ball rate, which drastically limits explosive, game-changing extra base hits. And also some competitive depth. Scouts continue to rave about his meticulous preparation and relentless mound demeanor. Since returning from a minor hamstring strain on May 6th, he went on a dominant 10-0 run with a 1.94 ERA over more than 2 months, showing true ace longevity. Some areas of vulnerability and warning signs focus on advanced metric discrepancy. Sabermetric scouts point out that Gray is outperforming his peripheral metrics. His 3.70 FIP and elevated 5.16 expected ERA suggests he has benefited from an unsustainably low 257 BABIP and strong defensive positioning behind him. Also, some improvements can be focused on the 2-strike execution. As seen in his last start, Gray's primary weakness is occasionally leaving pitches over the plate in 0-2 or 1-2 counts. When contact-oriented lineups stop chasing his breaking balls out of the zone, he can get hit hard sequentially. And as mentioned a few moments ago, Sonny Gray was a former Athletic, and that's how he got his start in the big leagues over 5 seasons, from 2013 to 17. He pitched in 114 games, 112 of those being starts for the Green and Gold. He went 44 and 36 with a 3.42 ERA, and 705 innings pitched, allowed 225 walks, 607 strikeouts, and pitched to a 1.20 whip. So that's a little bit about Sonny Gray. Always good to see him back, and I know he didn't pitch for the A's when the team was in West Sacramento, but nevertheless, good to see an old friend back in the mix and doing well. Just hopefully he doesn't have a great time out this week, but we'll see what he has in store for this A's lineup. Speaking of the A's lineup, let's take a look at some A's hitter history against these Red Sox starting pitchers. So lifetime against Peyton Tolle, Nick Kurtz is 1 for 3 with a home run, and Lawrence Butler 1 for 2. They never faced left-handed pitcher Jake Bennett, as this is his rookie campaign. Against Patrick Sandoval, Jeff McNeil lifetime is 4 for 6 with a double. Donovan Walton 1 for 2 with a home run. And against Sonny Gray, Jacob Wilson lifetime is 2 for 3. Jeff McNeil 2 for 8 with a double. Colby Thomas 1 for 3. Jonah Heim 1 for 4. Donovan Walton 1 for 3 with a walk. And Lawrence Butler 1 for 5 with 2 walks. As you get ready to watch the A's take on the Red Sox, here are some Red Sox players to keep an eye on. They are led offensively by first baseman Wilson Contreras, having a career year, batting .288 with 22 home runs, 66 RBIs, and a .935 OPS. Also keep an eye on right fielder Wilyer Abreu, batting .253 with 15 home runs, 51 RBIs, and a .765 OPS. And the center fielder Ceddanne Rafaela, batting .279 with 10 home runs, 46 RBIs, and a .759 OPS. All right, A's Day fans, it's prediction time, and then we will get on out of here and get ready for first pitch. We're going to make our home run prediction as we are going to select Henry Bolte to hit at least one homer in this 4-game series. I like the matchup that Bolte will be able to go up against 3 lefties out of the 4 starters. Do think that gives a little bit of an advantage to a right-handed hitter. We're going with Henry Bolte. And as for the series prediction, we do believe that the A's are catching one of the hottest teams in baseball at the wrong time for their sake. We do believe that the Red Sox will take this series 3 out of 4. We think they'll win the night 7-1 and tomorrow 4-3 before the A's bounce back to take Game 3 7-5. And we do believe that the Red Sox will take the 4th and final game of this series 9-2. So those are our thoughts. Hope you are able to tune in and watch the A's take on the Red Sox for the first of 4 tonight. Once again, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time first pitch. Peyton Tolley, he's getting the ball for the Red Sox going up against Jack Perkins for the A's. And with that brings us to the close of another edition of A's Day. We appreciate your support as always. We will be back behind the mic for Friday's show as we will recap what goes down in this 4-game set against the Red Sox. We'll share any updates via the injury report, transactions, any A's news that comes across our desk between tonight and Friday's show. And then we will be sure to preview their next series as they will be kicking off the weekend Friday night, taking on the Detroit Tigers. We'll make our usual predictions from there as well. That's all I have for you today. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grotto. Thank you all for stopping by to hear our thoughts on A's baseball. We appreciate your support as always, and we are really rooting for the A's to turn this thing around. We'll see you next time, right here, same place for Friday's show. Until then, enjoy all the A's baseball. And until next time, Holy Toledo, let's go A's.